So welcome to our ChatGPT integration. The integration lives within our online editor. You can see this is a solution to Pig Latin in Ruby. This isn't my solution, this is one of the top community solutions that I picked out. I just chose one at random and this one seemed like a nice example. And this currently passes the test. So I just ran this, it worked fine. You can see on the right hand side here it passed the test, no problem. So we're going to change something in here and I'm going to just remove a letter from a string. So this should return AY, but actually it just returns A now. So if I run the tests, you'll see that the tests at this point fail. And you can see, as you would expect, it's saying I expected this word to end in an AY, but it actually ends in an A. You don't need to worry, as I say, too much about the exercise. If you've solved this, that probably makes sense. If you've not done this yet, that's fine. What I want to show you is if you get in this situation and you're stuck and you have no idea how to get yourself out of this, you can click this button down here, the Stuck Ask ChatGPT button. And that's going to give you a little modal like this. Now, firstly, we just ask you to make sure that you actually want to ask ChatGPT. A lot of the value in working through an exercism exercise is the pain that you go through to actually solve an exercise. So you don't want to be relying on a tool like ChatGPT. You want to go through that suffering a little bit in order to really understand concepts. But sometimes we all do just get stuck and things get too frustrating. And when that happens, it can be really nice to have a useful tool there that you can use. So there are two different versions of ChatGPT that you can use. We have ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4. The key thing to understand here is that ChatGPT 4 is a much more powerful version. It's also a lot more expensive. In fact, it costs us about 20 cents per request, which is about 15 times more than what it costs for ChatGPT 3.5. Now, by the time you're watching this video, this might have changed and we might have moved forward. Eventually, I want to replace the ChatGPT integration with our own open source large language model that will then make this free for us to use effectively, and we can run it as much as we want. But for now, we have a real limitation on what we can do. So we've given you 30 ChatGPT 3.5 credits and 3 ChatGPT 4 credits. And these credits renew on the 1st of each month. So you get a new set of credits each month. And I recommend trying the ChatGPT 3.5 model first, because a lot of the time it's absolutely fine and it will give you a hint. It might give you a lot more noise, a lot more incorrect suggestions, but it will often just get you somewhere. Whereas the ChatGPT 4 integration, that tends to be much better. Nearly every time I've run it on something, it's given a useful suggestion. So enough of me talking. Let's start with the ChatGPT 3.5. We'll hit go. So this now puts together some information. It puts together the exercise, all the details, your solution, and it sends that off to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT comes back with some suggestions. Now, this has a few suggestions. It says that things could be done with the vowels and constants that are slightly differently. It says that this method isn't handling words that start with a capital letter correctly. We know that to be not true based on the fact this passes the tests. And this one here is the thing that gives you a hint, right? It says it's adding an extra A to the end of each translated word, but that's not always correct. And that's right. This shouldn't just be adding an A. It should be adding an AY. Now, this is sort of semi-useful, like it can help push you in the right direction. But as I say, there's quite a lot of noise in here. And for something like this, which is quite a complex example, and one of the reasons I chose this, with regular expressions and other things, it's the sort of thing that ChatGPT 3.5 doesn't do that well on. I'm just going to run the tests again. That just enables me to run this a second time. And this time I'll run it with ChatGPT 4 and we can see the difference between 3.5 and 4. Now 4 is also slower. It takes probably about twice as long to run, but it should still come back in sort of 15 seconds. And what you'll see straight away is that this immediately spots the issue. It said that it should be appending AY instead of A. And it also has a suggestion for this other thing as well. Now what's interesting is that this is very non-deterministic. So if we just do this again, if I just run the test, and in fact I'm just going to just very slightly change this and put this back to how it was earlier without some white space. If I then hit this and run ChatGPT 4 again on this, when I did this before, it came up with another point and a suggestion that was really good and actually taught me something that I hadn't really thought about before. Let's see if it does it this time. And one of the things that is interesting is, no, it doesn't. So one of the things that before it suggested that I should be using a character class here rather than specifying individual characters. So doing something like this, which is probably an interesting suggestion. But yeah, you will get different results different times you run it. It wouldn't surprise me if there's not some sort of caching somewhere as well. But as you can see, straight away, the first point it comes up with is the thing that gets you unstuck. And if you do what it says, add AY rather than just A at the end of this, you'll then obviously find that the test will pass again. So you can see how this will be really useful, but hopefully you can also see how it might sometimes be wrong or give you incorrect information or unhelpful information. And so you do have to use it wisely. You do have to not just trust what it tells you. ChatGPT doesn't know how to program. It's just generating a series of words based on what it thinks, or I shouldn't use the word thinks, what a probability matrix suggests might be the correct way to solve whatever challenge you've given it. But it is a really useful tool. I found it really useful when I've been using it. If you do get really stuck, it can just be the thing you need that gets you unstuck and saves you having to ask a human. But if you still can't work your way through it, there is, of course, always our Discord as well. You can always chat on there or open a thread on the forum if you want something a bit more asynchronous. But I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour. We're just starting with this. It's going to be really exciting to see how ChatGPT grows and how the open source models around these large language models grow as well. Thank you for watching.